So today I thought we would talk a little bit about just healthy bowel movements. And, we know that part of detoxification is healthy bowel movements. And so we can do all this detox work. We can focus on removing all the inflammation, food, any toxins. But if the exit doors are not open, then we're going to have a hard time truly detoxifying. And actually, can become even more sick because those toxins have no place to go. And so the exit doors must be open. And one of those ways is through healthy bowel movements. So, good healthy bowel movement is soft and formed and snake-like. You want to at least have one bowel movement daily, if not 2 to 3. Regularity is key. So for those who wake up every morning and they have their morning routine, whether it's their cup of coffee and their breakfast, and then they go visit their friend John, and all is normal and right in the world, that's good. That's a healthy, regular bowel pattern. So some things that we can focus on if we do struggle with constipation. Obviously, we want to make sure that we're staying well hydrated. So fluids is really key. Even things like stress management, because we know that there's a very intimate connection between the gut and the brain. And so deep breathing exercises, meditation work, and even some vagal nerve stimulation. So we could do things like humming or singing. If you go in the shower, you can do something as simple as just humming a little tune or singing in the shower, and that actually can help produce a healthy bowel movement. So it seems simple, but it can actually, go a long way. You can do abdominal massage kind of in the direction of your large intestine. So ascending, transverse, descending to kind of help stimulate flow. We do this in kiddos as well who are constipated. Walking, movement, daily exercise is key. So in addition to hydration, exercise is going to be another key component. And if you can keep a regular regimen, where you wake up and you have your routine and maybe you do your morning exercise, that is probably going to be more helpful than if you're kind of exercising here or there and it's different times every day. Now, I'm not going to argue if you're getting it in, you're getting it in. So that's what's most important. But if you can keep some consistency in your routine, that's going to be even better. So these are all the things that we can do as a practice, from meditation, from stress management, from drinking more water, exercise daily, even just going to sit in the bathroom, sit on the toilet after meals to kind of get your body acclimated and in that habit. So what do we want to remove or limit? So we've talked about this in length, but we know that gluten and dairy can be very inflammatory. So those are two key parts of dietary triggers that we really want to focus in on. So dairy and gluten. Sedentary time, we want to make sure that we're just not mindlessly snacking on different things. So you eat when you're hungry and then get up and move, take a walk, hydrate, but don't just kind of sit there and mindlessly snack. Obviously, if there's prescription medications, we need to kind of hone in on that and make sure that there are no side effects of constipation or slowed motility, opioids and different things like that. So those are things that we want to remove or limit. And then some things that if we need a little additional support that we consider adding would be things like my personal favorite is morning hot water with lemon. I usually will pour some hot water. You could even do like some ginger tea or smooth move tea or something of that nature. Let it cool to where it's warmish, and then I'll squeeze half a lemon in. And so that's just a great morning regimen that really helps to stimulate bowel motility. Fiber is going to be a key component. So about 30 grams daily is really where we like to shoot for. And then for some who really need additional digestive support, sometimes we use things like digestive enzymes or betaine, hydrochloric acid. So, if you have done the stool testing, so we're able to see what the intestinal health markers look like and the pancreatic enzymes, and we can determine from there, in addition to your symptoms, if you're someone who really needs some additional digestion support. So if we see, for example, a lot of fat in the stool, we know that you're not breaking down your fats well and you need a little additional support. And kind of going back to digestion, the other key component is making sure that you're chewing your food thoroughly, you're eating in a relaxed state, you're not rushing and on the go, and again, just snacking and there's no thought to it. So really take your time when you sit down to have a meal. The other thing that can help really support digestion is starting with your vegetables or salads first, and then move to your heavier, larger proteins second. Anytime we even smell food, that starts with our production of our salivary glands and our digestive enzymes. So you want to focus in on the foods that are a little bit easier to digest and wait to file in the heavier proteins secondary. So kind of how you eat your meals is also going to determine how well your digestion is supported. Ginger is a great one for motility, so you can get that in teas. So ginger is great. Bitters, marshmallow root, which you can find in a lot of those products like GI Benefits or GI Revive that really help to focus on healing the gut. There's a lot of those type of agents in some of those products. Prebiotics, probiotics, those are always important in that daily regimen. So those are all things that we can consider to add. And then, if all else fails and you're still struggling with having that daily nice formed snake-like soft bowel movement, we can incorporate things like magnesium citrate. Magnesium glycinate is one of my favorites anyway. So I usually like to incorporate some sort of magnesium. But citrate is it's better at pulling water into the colon. And so it helps with those looser bowel movements. So if it's someone who's really struggling with constipation, we'll switch from the glycinate or reacted to citrate. And you can, play around with dosing. It varies depending on which supplement you're using. But usually the capsules are 100 to 120 milligrams per capsule. So you could start with 2, work up to 3, sometimes even 4 if needed. Coconut water, you could do prunes is a great one to add as well. Powdered vitamin C. It doesn't necessarily have to be powdered. Any vitamin C, when you're sick, sometimes we'll say take as much vitamin C as you can to bowel tolerance because we know that it loosens the stool and can cause that loose stool. So psyllium husk, you could use that in baking, aloe vera, apple juice, unfiltered apple juice, even castor oil is another good one. So really it kind of starts with, all right, trying to identify what that potential trigger is and what we can remove before we start adding everything else in, right? So if gluten is the trigger for you, then let's remove that before we start to fold in all this other stuff, because that's step 1. If we know that we're simply dehydrated, well, then that's an easy practice that we can implement to produce those regular bowel movements. And obviously, more testing if it's kind of a long-term issue and you've done A, B, and C, then we can move to more of the specialty testing. Maybe it's food sensitivity testing. Maybe it's stool testing where we look at those digestive enzymes and those intestinal health markers. And then, maybe it's something like SIBO. Maybe it's a motility issue where you need more of a motility agent. And so that can actually contribute to SIBO, slowed motility. So all sorts of different things, but these are some nice basic starts when you're first starting out. Have you guys ever noticed when you travel, your bowel regimen is off a little? And I don't know, it might not be, but I know for myself, it's every time I travel. And I just think that goes to show just how important consistency is, consistency in your routine. Now, of course, there's going to be, you don't have usually access to all the yummy, healthy foods that we typically eat at home. But yeah, I just think that's a huge part of making sure that you have those healthy regimen too, is just consistency, because it's easy to get thrown off. It's easy to forget to drink the water if, you're running from here to there. And so that's always a big reminder when I'm going anywhere, like I'm going to really lock it in and stick to my regimen as much as possible. So the immune system, it's a funny thing. It's so individualized and unique in every
Mhm.
different person. Sometimes we just can't get to the point where we can get those same foods back. If we're talking about gluten, that's just one, but I don't know that you're missing out on much. I mean, it's like glue in your gut. So yeah, I think, with gut health, obviously what we're putting in our mouth and digestion, but food is a big one. And then that mental piece, that mental health piece is a big one as well. Just making sure that we're taking the time to do some breath work, that we're not
Mhm.
racing
Mhm.
around, eating on the go, that we're really chewing our food thoroughly, eating in a relaxed state, and just making sure that we're breathing, because that in and of itself can completely change your whole makeup of your microbiome. So I think if I had to choose two main areas, it would probably be that nutritional piece and
Mhm.
that stress component piece, because it really all folds into
Okay.
optimal digestion and inflammation. If you are doing all the right things, minimizing inflammatory foods, you've got all the antioxidants and nutrients on board, and you're focused on phase one and phase two of liver detoxification, but those exit doors are closed, there's no way out. There's no way out for those toxins. And so that can actually cause you to feel more sick.
Mhm.
So in that case, it's really important that we're pooping, we're peeing, and we're sweating. So sweating, skin is a big part of our detoxification, kidneys, so making sure you're staying well hydrated, and then obviously through your stool and bowel movements. So those are three main areas of exit, how we can clear things out. All right, guys, well, have a good week, and we'll see you next week.